Welcome to the Scrabble stream. Let's play some Scrabble. And I'll be first in the first of what is projected to be 6 rounds today. Probably need to get rid of some of the duplications for sure. I actually wonder if we can maybe just play off 3 even. It would be nice if I could go a little heavier than that, but I think we'll actually just go like this. Not a great situation to be in. Maybe there was something like a 5-tile play that would have hit a little more heavily there, but we'll see what we can do. Anyway, I better get my notepad up for display purposes. Opponent's going to change 5. And we have another V situation to get rid of pretty quickly here, as well as the possibility. It's very tempting to just go Java or something, even though the J scoring nothing for that. I mean, obviously it would be nicer if we could score more than that with a J. We can probably go jog over here just with 21. Or I don't know if we want to keep GRV. No, it's still 21. That's not worth it at all, and it gives way to J on the left side. Although, of course, you could do it under to prevent any parallels from following up. But no, I think this is actually pretty clearly how we'll do it. It does dangle a potential S hook on the right side, but if it's a trailing S, it's going to stretch all the way up to the triple lane. So I don't know that we're really too stressed about that. Try to see if there is any potential here for an 8. But we'll just have to see where the opponent goes for the moment. I don't think you can have something like privateer or privateer through disconnected tiles, perhaps, but it's not going to happen on this board. I'm trying to see if maybe there's something like an over prefix that would work. The other thing that we could do here is continue more parallels under JOT with the A. It would be nice to drop that doubled R. Trying to see if we can do anything better than that here. I think we'll just go with that, and then the V's really close things up on the left side. Now, this has got to be close to something, not quite with both the F and the P together like that, but if we make some kind of small play next turn, possibly consider opening up a little bit to give myself a lane, although right now I do have the potential for the S lane on the right side again with the risk of opening a triple. Then we'll see what can be done. Now, I'm going to do a little point check here. We're probably not going to make a play like that because I want to keep the S2 set up for something a little bit bigger. Also, it just occurs to me now that VAR over here, I think it actually takes a K in front, and the K would hit pretty hard. That would be getting up to a... No, I'm thinking KVAS, Kvas. I don't think it takes a K in front. I'll have to think about that. Anyway, nailers, okay, fine. I don't think we'll have anything that I can do that is an 8 here, but I'd better be fairly sure. Might be missing something here. Otherwise, we'll probably just play through the A and try to get something going. I'd prefer not to spend the S over here, although this essentially stopped being a very S-capable board at the moment. I actually don't know if fair with an E, like a run fair, is actually good. I know it's not good in the North American lexicon, at least I don't think so, but we can also try to open up a little bit like this. Maybe even... Actually, no, this R should synergize better with the P. I think we'll go like this. I don't know about that. Let's think about it. I'm just burning a lot of time on this, unfortunately. Yeah, because otherwise, something like fares is 32, spends the S. I don't know if we want to do that. I guess we can leave the end dangling wide open, and that would be risky, but let's go for that. I have to consider for a moment if hungers is good. It would be something like spongy ears, fruit, and eye. I have to consider this because this rack does look very familiar. I just have to be fairly sure. I think I would try, but we don't actually have an S hook for that anyway, so that's not really going to matter at the moment. We'll consider what the second choice is going to be if this doesn't really give me anything to work with here, and it looks like it won't. Yeah, we'll want to leave the left side lane open, but we'll want to get rid of a few things here first in order to make that work. I don't know, what do we think of this? 14, we actually should look at the LI for an LING ending through here. I'm not seeing it. But if we do keep NG, that's something that we should consider to look at going into the next turn. Yeah, I really closed off for myself here. Let's see what I can do. It is tempting to just go OP on the right side and Try to draw into something. It's a bit of a consonant-heavy leave. That's the only thing that I don't really like about it. But it would be nicer to maybe dangle something a little bit more promising, like maybe OP over here, and then you really open up a big lane. Although that doesn't really even take that many front hooks that can't just be taken care of easily. So, or I think URP is good. So like that, that's good. That's good. That would leave the S hook down below. Yeah, no, let's go with that. Primers. There's only really one promising spot for that right now, which is here. Unless we can find something with a different ending, ER, ES ending, that would go over there. Still looking from the D up top. That's fine. Let's see if we have a better spot. And actually, hang on. Let's see if we have something through the A. We do want to take a moment here because there is some triple potential that I might be missing. Just trying to iterate through the possibilities sort of blank here. I don't want to burn too much time on this move, but it could be very critical. If we can't get it, I wonder if I should play a bingo through the I on the right side instead. Because I'm thinking of something, this is very dangerous actually with the S hanging down like that, but it does create a ton of volatility on the board. Surely there's something through that A though. No. Okay, I should really move here. I'm trying to see if there's anything through the A that doesn't hit both triples. And there probably is, but I'm just not being, I'm not able to see it at the moment. Okay, let's just play through it. I almost certainly have a better play than this, but I just cannot find it. This is really dangerous with the S down there, but let's open the volatility. I'm really way down on time, so I do want to keep it open so the plays can be found quickly. I spent entirely too long on that play. Trying to see if there's anything that would dump the X on the spot here, or even just any of the other. big tiles at the moment. I don't think I can really see much there, actually, even with the K and the X and everything giving us some nice scoring tiles as possibilities. I bet I missed some big play through the A. I just could not see it. And oh, I guess, okay, we got punished for that. We got punished like crazy. Well, we kind of asked for it by playing that location instead of going something safe on the left side like I should have. Yeah, that was a huge error on my part. I don't know if we... Well, I mean, you know, we're maybe close enough that we can just continue scoring at the moment. Let's see what we can do with that. We're still about a bingo behind, but if we can get a big play going on here, we might be able to make it work. Time is not on my side here, though. Yeah, I absolutely should have just hit on this side if we were only going to get a double word score anyway, instead of introducing that much volatility while taking the lead. Very likely, my opponent would have been able to bingo with that kind of rack anyway, regardless of what I played, but dropping the triple open that time absolutely wrecked what we were doing here, so... We'll see what we can do. Not a promising situation at the moment. Okay, Cloy, that's going to block like crazy. Unless there's something like an H ending. I mean, 2H is still available for the H eventually here, but that looks very enclosed at the moment. And so that's not promising. Let's see if we can continue. Maybe this kind of closes off the lane on the left side. I'm not crazy about it. This would still leave an E under the M available. It doesn't really score very well with the X. That's my concern with it. But right now we need to set up more space. Like a lot more space. That doesn't really set up more space, so it just replaces one lane with another lane. We might have to go with something a little bit more heavy. Like, for example, you know, this would be basically implicitly an X setup. I think it's almost certainly going to get hit immediately. Or even something like this. It would almost certainly just get hit right away. I don't know if there's something less obvious that we could do to take advantage of a spot like that. I am very much down on time, though, so let's see if I can just maybe continue to score over here and maybe leave something for this remaining leave. Now, if we draw to a C... Oh, no, it doesn't quite reach. I'm trying to go for something over here. Okay, wait, we got it. Ulex for 74. That gave away a big one for me over here. Spending this U, there's still one U remaining afterwards for Q purposes, so I think we absolutely take this. And then we have QAID or QADI, either one. This is actually a fairly safe spot. This gets it pretty close back into the game. So yeah, one big giveaway from me earlier for that triple, one big giveaway from my opponent for the X on top. And so we may be able to make this work after all. QAID goes here as well for 37. That's actually probably the best spot for it. I mean, this kind of stretches out a little bit, but no, we have to take the points in this kind of situation. Ooh, big spot for wifey up top. We have to take the points and dump the Q right now. That's got to be it. Anyway, probably not too much we can do with the H ending down here. Although, notice H-E-I-G-H-T. If we play off D-E and go for something like height. Oh, no. That's a C-T ending, not a C-H ending. Hang on. That doesn't work. We would need a C-H ending there to have anything happen. So, not very many possibilities, really. Very nice fit there with toe year. 4 in a bag. Bit of a tight situation here. Now, if we do this, then we leave ourselves a new vowel hook above the CH. 4 vowels in the bag. I think we'd wind up with a pretty constant and heavy draw out of that. That does leave 1 in the bag after that, and really not much going on in terms of lanes, except for maybe the UN start over here. We need to do something to open more space for sure, though. And probably do some undoubling. I don't know that we can do much that would be better than that. The score's about 20. We would still be a bingo behind. I'm trying to see if there are any realistic looking draws right now. I mean, probably just for the UN start with that up there, or something like you need a pretty vowel heavy draw for something like an IE ending, IE D ending perhaps. Yeah, the G is really kind of in the way here in a way that I wish I could deal with, but I think we have to go with this. And this will not work. This will not work. I don't think we have 7s or 8s. It's just too much clunk on a rack. I was hoping to do something up here. Yeah, massive giveaway with the boneless spot on the right. Really kind of reckless on that play. I mean, the A was kind of open for a triple spot anyway, so I wonder if I didn't block up on the right side, if my opponent actually had something through the A as well. I'm down on time. I don't really have much room to look at this. Do I have a place to play the C afterwards, or am I going to have a C stick? I have a CH spot over here. I have to see if I have a second C spot, a CIRE, or a capo up on the right side. So we'll probably just go legated over here. Well, my opponent's going to play out with this anyway, so. Obviously, if we can play off the C, that would be even better. But I don't have much time to look at this. Lattice, one C, I don't think that works, no. We'll probably just go legated. Unless I see something significantly better in the next 19 seconds. Let's just go with it. Yeah, this is going to be a loss anyway. We had some issues there. I don't think that's the optimal ending by any means, but again, we're down on time. So, didn't quite work out. And yeah, I kind of expected that would be the play. All words, of course, are valid. Nothing really to question on this one. Everything is pretty common. Yeah, shouldn't have given away the boneless spot. That was absolutely an unforced error in terms of how much of the lead I gave away at that point, considering that we were going to pull ahead with a lead. But I do wonder if my opponent, with the blank there, he's holding BONEES blank. And I wonder if there would have been a play through the A regardless. Probably not something hitting this. Oh, actually, no. Maybe with the BLE ending. Not quite, but maybe there was something through there anyway. This is one that I'll almost certainly want to look at in the sim afterwards, so we'll grab that. Let me just update the record currently before we pull into the next round. We're on 0-1 going into second round of play. I am going to request the computer analysis on this one for later. And yeah, I don't think I even knew Virago over here with that spelling. That is, well, it's a V6. That is Collins only. We'll step through pretty quickly because we'll have to start the next round very soon here. Spitfire for that much in Fire Pits. So we gave up on this one a little too early. We should have probably that. I did have pre-sift in my rack, and I think I shied away from it because I was holding pre-sift and I made it on my rack and I was thinking, oh, I don't know, I don't quite remember it. But pre-sift is absolutely good. And speaking of pre-sift, I absolutely sifted those letters in the right order. But I backed off from it. I should have remembered that it's good because it's absolutely within the probability range that I should know. Sponger and pre-song. I was looking at Sponger and I shied away from that too. I wasn't confident in it. I think this is like a bingo rack that I just haven't looked at in too long. Pre-worms, I should have seen that one. We were trying to go pre-M something, 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 and that didn't work. So yeah, absolutely one miss after another here. Anyway, we do have to play the next game, so let's just get into it. And I'll be first once again. I don't particularly like having the Q in this situation. I almost think that we should play Ray and then leave the X-ray hook in front of it. Although I don't know that we have a very promising spot. We can go X-rayed, I think. That might even be good. X-rayed. X-ray by itself is definitely good, so let's just go for it. It has to be good. X-ray by itself is fine in this lexicon. And then even though we're keeping the Q, at least we shed quite a bit. QAT will go through the A, but given a spot with that R on the left, I don't really expect it will stay open. So next priority here is probably just to dump out a Q in some fashion. Might even go change DQG if we have... Oh, no, X-rayed is no good. And we showed way too much of my rack on that one. That's okay. Just a bad guess because I was thinking, well, if X-ray is good, definitely X-rayed. But I think Draxi might be fine. We should have just gone to that, unless I'm confusing with something else. But anyway, that's immaterial because that's not going to stay open. That was... I'm thinking of something else, maybe. Not Draxi. It was... Is there something that looks like that? There's something that looks like that. I don't think I'd try that regardless, especially after this turn. But, well, having shown the X, then my opponent almost certainly has to adjust when it comes to things like their vowel placement. Yeah, so X-Raid was challenged off. And welcome, Dr. Cliche. We had a pretty rough first game. Made some very questionable decisions. Oh, I'm thinking of Braxy, B-R-A-X-Y. I think that's almost certainly what it was. But yeah, so we will not really be able to play off the X very effectively unless we just go Raxed, and I don't really like that for Q-related reasons. I'm trying to see if there's something that can get us through here with the X. I mean, we could just go racks, but then keeping QRY out of that's kind of terrible. That play was only 10 points. I think we might even change. But because otherwise the Q is just going to be a massive burden. Hang on. Last game has an analysis ready. I'm going to dump out QY. Maybe. Does that even make sense? Or can I just play X-ray somewhere? Okay, my opponent only had a 2-tile play. Let's just do that. Unfortunately, unlike in StarCraft, you can't have remaxed, I'm pretty sure. Unlike when you get your army back up to 200 supply. Did I actually have a spot for X-ray? X-R-A-Y. Okay, I got tilted a little bit by the challenge, I think. Yeah, we missed an obvious spot here. Zigzag. Yeah, no, that was absolutely right. The thing is, I showed X-Raid on my previous rack. So yeah, I started with a phony here, X-Raid. I know X-Ray is good. I know for sure X is good, so no problem with that. But I was thinking, oh, X-Raid must be good in this lexicon too, and I was wrong. And the parallel there escaped me. I don't know why we just were a little bit blind to the parallel there. And yeah, that would have been worth it. That would have absolutely been worth it. I think I tilt a little bit sometimes when we lose a challenge here, so. I don't think we can have re-examined or examined X something. I missed a triple last game, and I gave away a triple in response, and so things have not been going very well today. It's just some very questionable decisions all around. Trying to see if we have something through here too, just with 6 tiles, but again, not remaining very much to remain open at the moment, so. Let's just see what happens. I was a little bit conscious of how much time I was losing there too, so unfortunately that was just a massive blind spot for X-ray parallel. Yeah, I even thought about X-ray because I was thinking, the thing is I'd already shown X-ray on my rack, and I couldn't just give myself an X setup without it just being taken. But then this parallel just kind of dropped off of me there. But anyway, okay, so we have something, we can go remix over here for 46. It does drop the X in a bit of a dangerous spot for counterplay, but we do get the ×4 on it. I'm thinking that will probably be what we do. Unless, of course, I'm missing an 8. I think we'll go remix. Okay, this has some potential here. Let's look at it carefully. Yeah, I need to get my head X-rayed after a play like that, for sure. Zerda fits here for the next turn. If it remains open, you got Zerda for 64. I should look at Z plays over here as well. But if, for example, my opponent just does an easy triple with the X, then we have a wide open spot for Zerda. I should look at this as well, but I'm not seeing the possibilities. Zerta would be fantastic. Oh, no. Okay, that doesn't work. However, do we have a way to go here with the S? Not something that'll hit. Zoe, even better, I think. Well, no, actually, Zerta would keep vowel S, though. But anyway, that's immaterial now. Zerta actually still works over here if we want to go super dangerous on both sides. And then we still have the S spot potentially down there. So this would give me 52. Again, gives lots of points back. But my opponent was showing consonant heaviness. Since they're showing consonant heaviness, I might even be able to race to that spot sooner. I'm trying to see if we have something that will go down to the bottom with AZ something S. It looks so much like this rack has 8s as well, but I think we go Zerta. Playing with fire over here. I actually don't really have a good follow-up to it in that spot, unless we, of course, just go parallel somehow. Let me see if we have something with maybe the J coming down. Vomitier. Pretty sure it's good, but it's 5-point challenge. We'd better check. Yeah, it's good. And as I was saying, we don't actually have a good way to follow up down here. However, we do have just a JO spot for 48. That is almost certainly what we'll do, unless we have a way to go here, as I was saying. I mean, we do if we spend both S's for 67, but then we can keep both S's. That is a very S-heavy leave. I mean, technically, the bottom left spot would still be available. It's 48 points over there, and the left side would almost certainly go down for my opponents. So do we sacrifice 19 points to keep both S's and still have the other spot? This is a kind of playing order thing, because my opponent is likely to take this left side spot if I don't take it first. Likelier than they are to have the S or the blank drop under verb. I think we have to go for this first. Because the idea is that we are still able to potentially go right with the S's. Now, not on this turn we don't, unfortunately. So that's not going to work out. Yeah, oh, I see what you meant earlier. That I did, in fact, have with an E draw, Z-O-E-A-E, going on the right side. Now, I think we just go like this. Wad for 40. I mean, are we really going to argue with that? Unless we have something... So this little corner here by the R's, that has some potential at some point, but I think we just go wad. Over here. Amazing that I still don't really have something good going on to the right side under verb. Ahuru. Very nice vowel dump on that. I actually don't know if KOSS would be good. I feel like I should know this actually because it's a hook word. KOS plus an S. I have to think about this one before I try it. I think I think yes. Yeah, because it's a 3 to 4 hook. I think I've seen this. 49. That brings us about even. It's going to shed both S's, but the thing is at this point, unless you have something like an SP ending or an SK ending that fits there better, I don't think we'll do much better than that. Let's take it. And ooh, look at that. I see one here already. Pronaoi. It does not go down currently, does it? No. But let's see. Yeah, because I do see that. There probably is more that we can do with something like an ION ending or... something like that. We'll see. We'll see. There are definitely some 7s here that are possible. Unfortunately, the one that I saw does not seem to go down, unless I'm missing something like a front hook here. I should also not neglect the H in this spot. Anyway, the play will almost certainly just be TOO. Not even TOP. It would probably just go TOO in that. But let me take a look at this because I feel like we have something. I just have to think about it for a moment. So the only thing that we saw with the blankets are we already considered. Whoops, hang on. Polonium. Something tells me I have tried that in a game before, and I don't quite remember. I mean, I think I've tried this in a game and had it challenged off before. I'm not confident in it. Let's see. We're burning time. We're pretty close in points. I think best thing to do here is probably just to dump it. Oh, surely we can do better than that, though. I mean... Also, only one O left in the bag, so this might shed the O's a little too heavily. Let's just go for it. Maybe we missed something. Probably missed something. But this should be a little more promising. Let's take a look at this. Surely we have something going down to the E, like an AL ending. There's got to be something. I'm almost certainly just staring at it. Platina's got to be good. Got to be good. I say that after just passing on Polonia, but no, that's got to be good. A bit of a dangerous spot with the vowel up top. Let's try it. Watch me suddenly find something that's much better. But anyway, QAT, QI, we should dump out the Q at the first opportunity, especially if I'm ahead. Dr. Kajeja was saying earlier that Magic the Gathering has a legendary fox named Zirda, Z-I-R-D-A. Interesting. Q spots are all going down. We do potentially have QAT somewhere else, though. I do have the T for it. I should probably keep it in case we can give ourselves a spot. So, for example, we do this, we give ourselves a spot, and we also take care of the left side lane and shed most other things. Let's do it. Obviously, with something like this, we have to consider the U as blank. What was that one that we've been seeing lately that... Oh, yeah, no, we saw the different... what was it? Ooh. We saw the different spellings of aquifer recently. Snow slip. Wow, look at that. We have to check it. This is probably game losing anyway, but 6 in the bag. We have some potential still if we manage to use the Q effectively. S's are all gone, so if we want to go QAIDS, for instance, it has to be here for 48. Snow slip. It's a 5-point challenge. I have to check it. I'm playing it against an opponent who knows this kind of thing, I'm sure, but we need to, actually build decent habits. I think the situation with the bag and the pool is that the blank is no longer really going to be a bingo tile. I think we have to score a 48. That closes in at least and leaves 3 in the bag. We are vowel heavy, but it's a consonant heavy draw potentially with some duplication. We want to remain flexible. I do think this spot on top of the O is going to get hit by something. Almost certainly the P or the Y. And we need to get into a position where I can do something about it. So either we spend this now. I think we have to, because otherwise it's just going to be obstructed. And then, of course, just a volatile spot on top of the I as well. I think we have to do it. And look at that. We got something. It's not going to go down, but we do have something if the opening is available. I don't think the opening will become available. I think there's no chance of this with so many obvious scoring spots that don't open. But we should have it at the ready just in case. Why not quate on the top? Quate on the top. Oh, you mean like here? Yeah, because I guess that would reduce the volatility a bit by taking the spots. I'm thinking, though, like in terms of tempo, that, you got 2 scoring spots here. They'll each get hit pretty hard, probably. That is a good consideration, though. I didn't really score that properly to see how well the parallel would make that a bit stronger. And then it would put me 1 in the bag and down by 4. Yeah, true. Oh, also, we should see if I have something through the S. Hang on, just a minute. I think I do. I have, hang on, A. I have to do this in all caps. I don't think this is something, but I have to consider this very, very carefully. Oh, hang on. I have the I and the N in the wrong order. I don't think this is something. 5 vowel bingos. I don't see something through the S, but I have to keep this in mind because there's a possibility. I'm not sure that we have much, just because of all the vowel duplication here. I don't know that I would have anything that I can play through as an 8 that my opponent would realistically give me. Basically, I need them to really goof and give me a spot for this. But I just don't see it happening unless it's, something like a playthrough, some spot here that gives me the appropriate hook. I don't think so. I think one of the scoring spots is for sure going to go down. Yeah, it's a shame IW isn't a word, because then we would actually have a complete overlap over here. Snow slip, what a beautiful fun. I think regardless of what the play is next, we have to reduce some volatility. I would prefer not to spend both my constants if the bag is out, unless we have a very clear play. Actually, so for example, if we have a situation where the bag is out, we might have to go AIA somewhere. But currently, P or Y in this spot is the big threat. Now, if you look at the vowel distribution for my opponent, there actually isn't much that my opponent can do to hit that. There might not even be a play in there that can hit that. In fact, with something like, well, it would be the E, the I, and a U. Two of them have to go in this spot. I don't actually see an ending for the P in there. So this might be fine. And the thing is, nothing goes over the L for my opponent, which means that we don't need to worry about P parallels over the I. Now, the thing is, we do need to worry about points, and we need to worry about pacing. One in the bag. I'm obviously not going to try to dangle one tile for a bingo thread because I don't think I could even do it. But we'll see here. I think I essentially have to go with this. No, because we would draw one still. I can't play AIA out. I think the NY ending would be a threat if it weren't for the fact that my opponent has nothing to go under the S. So that's actually safe. This is winnable. This is absolutely winnable. I don't know if I'll see it, but it is winnable if we find the right sequence. I have a minute. I really don't have time to iterate through all draws, I don't think. Now, ES would block off the possibility of having, well, nothing's except I is going to go there. So IY is not going to be an ending for anything. So nothing's going to go there. Let's see. This spot here might concern me a little bit. And even just a two-tile play here, like YE here, would maybe hit hardest right now with a Y. So I think we have to take this regardless. Do I have a better way to do it? I think we diversify the vowels. A and Y would go there, but it doesn't parallel at all with the ES there. We need to save time here. I think we have to take that spot because of the possibility of just a small Y player there. Oh, hang on. I missed this spot here. Does the Y do anything over here? I don't know. And now, do we actually have a way to go out? I'm not sure I do. Because I don't know if we had a way to kind of keep better consonants there. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to map out all 8 draws because, and with the doubling here, it's not even 8 draws. It's with 2 Gs and 2 Ns, it was really just maybe 6 realistic draws for the last tile in the bag. And had I enough time, we should have mapped that out to figure out what the possible outs would be. I did not have enough time. That may cost us. However, we do have AG up here for 20. That's a threat. That's going to go down. I don't think. GUNE. Is there an out for that? If I do this, I don't have enough time to look at it. I don't have enough time to look at it. I think we have to just do it. We have to just do it. I think I'm going to finish a little bit under here, but let's see. IE should give me some flexibility at least. We are a little bit dependent on my opponent not having an out. I don't think something like PUNG is good anyway, but you know, the 5-point challenges might make the difference in this. Anyway, 5 points here. 5 points here. hung. Oh, hang on. Hang on. I had no time to look at this. Okay, I think we'll have to take the loss here. But yeah, a couple errors that game. We might have had a playable ending there. I just didn't see it. But I was worried about this with the Y up here. I was worried about this spot as well, but I couldn't quite see what was going to go. I didn't have enough time to map it out, basically. Because I feel like we could have done something else here with maybe just a consonant vowel play, keeping the N or the T, and then using that. Anyway, I'm going to request the computer for this one for sure. And then we'll go into the next round right away because I'm being called it right now. So, too bad about the X-Raid blender. We update the record. I will be going first once again for the third time in a row. So, kind of a bad start. Unbidden through another N. But I don't think we'll have that here. I might even just go bud or something to start. I'm trying to see if we have something that would be a little bit better. Bud or dub, one of the two. Let's go bud. Drinker. Just the ER spot under bud right now. It will not stay open. I mean, some kind of play is going to close this. No, maybe not. Okay. Let's make sure I don't have something even better that would, say, go through the L up there. I think we just go drinker. Okay, J and Z together. We do need to look at the top spot here. We do need to look at this. Anyway, Ziggsy, you were saying YGOE. Oh, in the previous endgame. Yeah, I completely missed that as well. Yeah, with the NY at the bottom, right, with the triple, which I also kind of missed because, you know, who would have thought of the Y consonant start, except, of course, you have YGOE, or even just YGO. Yeah, no, I have to think about that. There's something I get confused with those tiles all the time. Speaking of Y, we have to watch out for the KY spot. That could become relevant. We should look at this spot as well. I don't see anything currently. So, yeah, lots of potential volatility all over the board. But we'll just have to see what happens here. Okay, look at that latening. That's going to create a pretty big spot next to the A, and I don't know that I can do much with it right now, but we can just go with a Z down here with ZP for 49. I think we pretty much have to leave that open up top unless we have a much better alternative. I think we should still kind of take this greedily. Am I able to go further with this? I think we should just take it. Yeah, A spot is a bit of an issue right now. I mean, if it's an X we're worried about, there are multiple spots currently that are in play. So we'll see what goes on here. I may just close it off with Haji or something. which opens another X spot really, but we'll see what happens. Or even just Hajj on the left, that makes so much more sense, except of course I don't like keeping all the I's. The J would allow a continuation on the right side as well. This also would just work. 49, I think we basically have to take that. But it does mean that the massively volatile spot is still here, and we're going to be val heavy coming out of it. So let's be very clear about what we're doing here. This would close off the X, and it allowed me to continue, but that's 36. This right side spot is likely to continue to be a problem, but we can build below it with the ME starts. I think we take the points, keep it even. And of course, for keeping all the I's, we get into a bit of a problem. I don't think this is good, although it is kind of tempting because of IMIDE, or indeed IMIDO, going there and solving lots and lots of issues despite the fact that I'm way down. I think we definitely do that. I mean, what else are we going to do here? 19, 30. Well, we take the 30. Little bit heavy on the O's, but we're close to something here. I need to look at the G down here because that might even be something. We'll see what we can do with either of those. I need to look at a D here too, actually. Let's not really consider a D as a lane. Also, too bad we don't have an OOZE ending, but we may have another. Like if we had a B or something, we might even have missed a play there already, actually. Like, we totally missed. No, there's no IR. Never mind. I mean, I'm not just going to. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have something that will take that with a reasonable play this turn. But we should not neglect it if we have something that would give us an EAZE, for instance. Too bad we didn't have a B for booze over here, because that would have been very natural. I have to look at this closely because I feel like the G actually has the greatest range of possibilities here. If not, we really do have to just open up the OO somewhere. Maybe even OO here. I mean, it's very easy to hook on the right side. That basically gives away the triple, but let me think about this. I really feel like the G has something. It's so val heavy at the moment. Let's leave lanes open on the left side. Let's continue to create some threats there. I mean, you know, otherwise we'd just be playing off OO for no threat up here. And I guess this closes off the S lanes and it dangles a triple that almost certainly just gets taken. So maybe that's not good. Like, it's not very promising to go up top here. Maybe we close up top instead. What's a bit more vulnerable to parallels? Yeah, because actually, no, the S start is a lane for me right now, so I don't want to obstruct that too much. Let's do that. And of course, now we get the B. This should give me all kinds of stuff. Let me think about this, because Bylander through to D. Bylander. And what about the G here? Rinsable through S. Well, the S is too high for that, so S won't give me that. So Bylander through the D is currently what we're looking at. I don't know if that'll stay open. Yeah, the G's not in a good spot for something promising here either. We should always look at things like the ABLE ending, but I'm pretty sure the only 8 with S is rinsable, so rinsable will not go down. So I think it's only Bylander available right now for very few points. But at least the consonants are not going to be in a spot that will get hit very heavily. Also, do I have a 7? I haven't even looked at the 7s yet. I'm not seeing it yet, but we'll keep it in mind. We're close to something, obviously. I should take a look at the E up top as well. That could be something, but we'll see. If we're given an I in the middle of nowhere, that would be something like an arable. Oh, and that got taken. Okay. Good instincts there. Well, that's too bad. We should look at that ED in case there is something through the ED as a 9. Either that, or maybe we just try to create another lane over here. I mean, that kind of blocks an existing one. This one's a bit of a hard call. But this technically kind of creates a little bit more space, unless I actually am missing a 7 with this. What about BI over here? That's similarly kind of gives up on the E hook on the right side. I don't know about that. The L and R together without something like a hard consonant like a B to go with one of them actually is not going to make great synergy either. Hard call on this one. Like the B and the L go well. You know, 22 there, or we kind of open up a bit more space here, because otherwise I would need kind of basically a consonant E start under the UR. Let's go with this. And of course the I's are going to come back and exactor. And just once again, edgelord. Very nice. Very nice. Such a content play. I feel like edgelord was something that was, in fact, a recent addition to the lexicon. Beautiful play. Edgelord. I think I might have to stretch out a little bit, unfortunately. This obstructs even more. That was so terrible. But everything else is just so heavy on the eyes. I think, I mean, there's still some E draws that can happen for the right side lanes. Unfortunately, I think I'm kind of forced into something like this. We have to do the eye dump. Okay, coterie. It doesn't fit. Esoteric with the S. There's something else with esoteric. Esoteric. What is that? Well, esoteric goes with coteries. So neither of those put the S in the spot that I want. Is there something with the D? Yeah, an edgelord is a person who makes provocative comments on the internet. Imagine that. Who would do such a thing? So yeah, esoteric coteries. I don't know if there's anything else that goes with those. Anything with a G? I don't think so. Anything with the other R? I mean, what we could do, well, OE doesn't give me anything, though. It doesn't give me a lane. It just closes off. That won't work. We can go OE over here. I don't like that it closes off the bottom, but it does rebalance direct for something a lot more promising on the bottom right side. We're so far behind at this point, though. I would basically need 2 bingos to make something work. I don't like blocking this off, but I feel like, we obstruct a very likely play that's going to score in that spot, and then while the Q is just going to come in and ruin everything. Yeah, well, okay, now the Q is just going to ruin everything, so let's do something here. What do we even do with this? Like, I don't even have a QI play somewhere. We're in a bit of trouble. And that was a fish one from my opponent just now, and that's not good news for me. Like, I can do change 2 rather than do that, but I don't think this is going to be something like a Q stick situation at this point. I think my opponent's likely going to bingo from a 1-tile play. But then if he bingos, then he has a big chance of trying to draw into the Q, right? But because it's either that or we score 11 with a Q and block my own potential spot. Let's do. We're 130 behind. I don't think this is going to be a winning route, especially if my opponent bingos. But the thing is, if we can play a 7, draw 7, then this keeps. If this keeps 15 in the bag, it gives us a 2 bingo route, possibly. But then I'd probably be coming back from a big play behind. This is not working at all. Not quite Eucrite, Neuritic from an N. Unfortunately, we blocked our own spot. Because I think Neuritic is otherwise good. Earstone, yeah, no chance. No chance. This just didn't work at all. I had absolutely nothing here, but is there something that I can do to at least shed some of this stuff? Just suit. I think that has to be it. And there's the X at last. This went really badly. But it's okay. We usually have closer games. Today we've been on a bit of a slide. I mean, there were some pretty big mistakes today as well. Some pretty huge blunders in the previous games, but off to a very bad start. I mean, there's one tile in the bag. We're not going to draw anything really good at this point. There are two Ts, so if one tile in the bag, my opponent definitely has a T to tag on this. It'll probably just be a QAT play next to that. I don't know if I have something that would give me a setup for Xeric, like Xeric, that could not just be taken. Because, you know, something like EA could just be taken by a QAT on the right side as well, so I don't think that'll work. We can just go Xeric up top. Just play this. Or even just Carrick. Carrix? Or no, Carrex. Carrex. I don't think it's Carrex. Let me see if I have something that would... Oh, maybe actually Caraces. Carrex, Caraces. Carrex. I think we still go Xeric. Well, except we'll potentially double up on the A's. Let me think about this for a moment. I think we go with what we know, but then we can do IF under that. My opponent can't do anything under it. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because that leaves me IF, but we'd probably want to play through this anyway, unless we have some kind of tempo advantage from my opponent having to get rid of the Q. I don't even know if I have an out with this, in fact. But this spot is something that should be mine for the taking for 29. Yeah, and then we'll just take it and go AT somewhere. Whatever makes sense. Why? So AT is probably just going to be here for 10. Let me just check around for a moment to make sure I don't have something even better. Okay, so that's going to be another loss. Big one this time. And so, bad start today. 0-3. So yeah, we requested the computer for the first two. I'm limited to 5 requests a day, so we'll probably not put this through to sim yet unless we know how the remaining 3 games are going, in case they are more interesting to look at, but we can kind of step through plays quickly. So Bundied is good. I had that on my rack and I thought about it, but it was one that I just don't really know, to be honest. And it is Colin's word, to clock on or clock off work. Interesting. Sounds Australian for some reason. I don't know if Australians can confirm or deny that. All right, let me make sure I'm showing that this is just the post game. Whirlies, Wurzels, etc. Drinker, the only one. Leidening. Yeah, this is a good spot here. I was looking there as well. Pretty equivalent in terms of equity. We'll see. So yeah, this spot on the left was kind of available to both of us for a while. I don't know if I had anything that would have taken it usefully. Because I was finding most of the equity plays, oh yeah, this goes even better. Look at this overlap here. Beautiful overlap. And it even leaves me an E lane on top. That would have been much, much better, in fact. I considered ooze, but with the B unseen, I don't know if I would have risked that. That would have got me out of a bit of trouble, but it did block the lane that would have become relevant. It's funny because I did draw the B on that turn after playing OO, and with the same draw, I would have actually been able to hit that massively, but that's just so risky. It's just going to dangle there until somebody deals with it, right? So it's hard to argue with that leave. Oh, there's a 7 here too. It just doesn't go down. It's a difficult 7 to see. It's Llanero, which sounds Welsh. I'll type that in the chat. Actually, no, it's Spanish. Llanero, yeah. So yeah, but it doesn't go down anywhere, which is too bad because that's a fantastic word to know. Because who looks for the LL start? Line bread has a 6 going in there. It's best by equity, but no bingos at that point. Nothing for me to find. Edgelord, beautiful. As far as edgelords go. So I consider this play here. It's top by equity despite the II leave, but I really didn't like the II leave. And Odic goes here. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it does lock down the entire bottom left, but I was kind of on my way to locking that down anyway, so maybe that's not too bad considering that keeping the double E is pretty good for the spots down here that we were trying to leave open. And yeah, look at how terrible my options are. Best by equity is in fact a single Q that we were considering, but then I was looking at the situation in the bag and basically thinking that, exchange IQ, bingo, bingo is probably my best route, and it's extremely unrealistic, but it is a route. And against that rack, nothing we can do. 8 in the bag, this would have at least dangled something down in a triple for me, but at that point, we know the win is out of reach. Did I miss this spot? Wow. This was still available. We were talking about that X spot the whole game, and by the time it became relevant, I was blind to it because I think I was thinking too hard about the X spot being something that you take up here. I completely forgot when the X finally came that this spot was still open. But of course, I had a bit of an incentive here to try to play things off quickly. And I mean, I guess there was the possibility of a Q draw into this rack, which would have been disastrous now that I look at it, because a Q is available here, but where else are you going to go if it gets taken, as my opponent would know to block? Had I drawn the Q as the last tile, so absolutely that could have gone even worse. Oh, we had an even better play over here because, well, there's an out. It's a very easy out to see, in fact. That was a big misplay on my part. Fixating on the spot in the top left and not looking for the obvious out down here. Didn't look hard enough. Yeah, because that's about a 22-point gain just from taking my opponent's tiles on that. So, yeah, a lot of errors all over that time. I don't know why we're not called into the next game yet. It seems like things are going slowly. Let me just check what's going on. They have, yeah, something's being managed in the other division right now, I think, and so we're going a bit slowly. Let me just see what's going on. All the games in our round are done, but we're not being paired for the next one yet. Or rather, we should be paired soon, but there's something being handled right now with the second group. And welcome. You found this in the Wugelsbau and you were the opponent in round 1. Yeah, welcome. We'll probably step through that game at the end, because there were a few critical moments there that I missed, particularly the situation here where I was trying to look for the triple on the right side, and I had pre-warms available and I didn't see it, and I probably shouldn't have given you that spot for boneless, because that was just a massive game-losing swing there. And yeah, so welcome, Knaveries. Let's get into round 4. We'll look at that at the end. I did request a sim for this. So let's just make sure we've got the ready check going. And we'll see. It seems like there was some kind of delay with, again, the other division kind of thinning out. But let's keep playing. I'll be going second this time. A little bit consonant heavy at the moment, but let's see what we can do. If we have an E to play through for twerp or something. Or if we have some kind of bird, are there kind of birds that are TWP? Or we can just play TWP if we had a spot for it, but we don't. All right, let's see. Maybe we just try to stretch out a little bit here. This is going to be a game that's going to block up the top left for some time, I think, but not much we can do about it. Still a bit consonant heavy, but we'll see how we can gradually ease ourselves out of this situation. Ovoid over here. Now, I can't really do too much with the eye spot. Of course, it might even be better to just dump it out like this, unless I have a clear second best play. I don't think I have anything that scores nearly that well anywhere else. And so this continues to close things up a bit. It's vulnerable to an O next to the J, but I don't think we care at this point. I think we just take it. Do I want to go jib or jig? I think neither one of them are very good in terms of synergy. The G is going to go slightly better with the D, I guess. My opponent is kind of showing a bit of vowel heaviness at the moment. There is a potential danger lane that would eventually be taken over here. Actually, playing the JB there with my opponent just having played OO might not be too bad. It is vulnerable to the A as well, of course. We can go with a T down here. Do I have something that will stretch out a little bit? I'm not sure if we do, but if I go something like term, and then we have the S hook available for myself that I'm dangling there, that would be a bit risky, but plausible. I'm trying to see if I can just get out of this consonant heavy situation somehow in a way that makes sense. Because the other thing we could do is just something like germ over here, keep DST, and then the T is still available for the text spot. I kind of like this better because, you have DGS. What are you realistically going to do with that S hook that is actually going to be decent and will outpace? keep DST, dangle the E. Not great, but validist through the E. I think there's something else in there as well, because validist does fit. I think there is something else. Let me see about this. It's going to be taken, unfortunately. So never mind that. But then here we can start to build down, maybe vital actually, and then we keep DS. I actually kind of like that because that will take the S hook, which I'm holding. A D is available up top for demo as well, which will be good. I don't think we really have anything else that we can do here. Let's just go vital on the right. Now, the other thing is that we could go under the X, potentially. It would be something like div. Div is pretty good. I like that. It leaves A on the side for diva. I like the LAST ending a little bit better than the S in kind of a low-scoring lane. DS. Yeah, you know what? Let's just go div. Then let me think about this for a moment, because Latin's good, or am I thinking of something else? Latins. I have to make sure I'm not confusing with something. Latins, div V is also good, DIVI. So that would fit. I'm pretty sure div V is good, DIVI in Collins. I don't think ovoid takes an S, at least I don't think I would try it. Regardless, we do have the ped lane over here as well. We also have the FOE for all kinds of stuff. FOEN, in fact, would fit. It just drops the L in a bit of a bad spot over here. But 75. I mean, what else are we going to look at? I'm not going to try ovoids. This kind of gives away a big spot with the I on a triple as well. I'm trying to see if there's another spot. I think we'll actually just go with this spot. We might get hit hard under the L, but we'll do that. Talking or stalking, potentially. No place for it at the moment. That's actually going to draw a challenge. But we are in good shape. Talking, like ticking and talking. I feel like I'd try it. Let's see. That's not going to go anywhere, though. Tibia. I kind of like something like knit over here. Keeps cog. I don't know if I can do much better than that. I should remember that we have the IDE spots up in the top as well. Obviously, the G is much worse if we don't keep the N with it. The other thing that we can do is try to do something down towards the D with. I don't think it would keep all that stuff though. I think this is fine actually. It's going to give me an N in response as well. And let's see what happens. We do have Congo up top. Congo and Zaire being both valid as far as countries go. This BE over here, I feel like there's something that can hit eventually. I'm liking Congo up top, although I guess the C might be a bit of a dangerous bingo tile in such a spot, but Well, let's see, because this is 26. Dangle's a C. This spot is 21. Yeah, 5 points to take the much safer spot. I think we take the safer spot. Also, hang on. Let's not forget that DEE would take some hooks as well. Definitely the T. We probably missed something there last turn, in fact, in terms of something that could have hit the DEE spot pretty hard. Let's just take this. Basically eliminates a lane under the W while I'm slightly ahead. Still very consonant heavy. And my opponent has vowels. I don't know if, oh, no, sorry. J-A-R. Oh, that's such a terrible leave, though. I'm trying to see if I have something that'll go to the D, and the R or the T. I think we have to get rid of some stuff before anything like that will happen. I think we go Ken over here. That's still very heavy on everything, but then we're not really opening much up. The F on the right is still a lane, but it's one of those low-scoring lanes that gives something back, so we're not as concerned. My opponent is definitely showing tons and tons of vowels right now, though, so we're still not drawing something playable. And unfortunately, yeah, not much I can do here. Do we have something that can maybe hit a bit harder than this? Did I have Candid? Where did I have Candid? Candid probably takes an S in front too, right? Scandid. Well, we'll think about it later. Where would it have even gone? I don't see it. I didn't see a place for it to go down. So through DE. Oh, through CANDENT. Oh, just as a 6 tiles or 5 tiles through DE. Anyway. Or candescent. Well, we didn't have anything near a candescent. Anyway, let's not burn time. It's going to be one of those games, but at least I'm able to score a bit with it. I should not forget about this. There probably was a play there that we could have done as well, but yeah, OU over there. I think we just go TRY over here and kill it. I'm not even ahead by that much. Oh, look at this. If we get an S, BEZILS. Yeah, my opponent's drawing all the vowels. That's okay. So 3 S's and a blank unseen. I think we keep it for that. Let's keep ZIL unless we have a much more attractive play that uses it, because that'll be a fun play. Unless, of course, we have something that's going to use my Z immediately on this side. Now, this would kind of open up a G location up top. Let me see. Also, the TRY ending, it does take some extensions, potentially, that could be pretty good, but we'll keep that in mind for later. Let me just figure out what we can possibly do with this. How about trying to see if Knurl. I know Knurly is good. Knurliest. Knurliest. But I don't know. I'm confident in this. I think it's the same set though. Knurliest, Knurls. Oh, but then we want to keep the eye for the idea that I had earlier, right? So, and then we still have some Zill possibilities, I guess. Let's go with this. I don't know if this. Okay, we have it. We have it with these S draw. I mean, it was pretty likely. It was so few tiles in a bag. Blank, blank, SSS. The issue, of course, is that with 2 blanks unseen, it does open up a pretty hot lane on the right side. But this will be the first choice place, 81. And then we'd probably survive a bingo back as long as it doesn't land a constant in a really heavy spot, like if it's a Q bingo or something that it's, oh, unfortunately, that beautiful overlap does kill the idea that I had. Too bad. The setup did not last in the most unfortunate way. I was fishing for the S, for BEZILS for 81 points. And I did draw the S. I drew it too late. You like keeping IZAR to fish O or E? Oh, for BEZOAR, right? Okay, so now I have a bit of a situation. We can still go 45 down here. That gets me reasonably close, and we still have some stuff to work with with 3 in the bag. I think that might be the best idea here. We want to kind of, well, I mean, we can't really slow play because, Q situation is going to affect somebody no matter what. I notice no blanks available, otherwise QAT here on the right side might have been relevant. Just trying to see what the Q situation would be. QI over here. If we draw into the I, then that would be mine to take. I think we have to take the Z spot. And indeed, we have the Q situation. So QI on the left side. QIS on the top, which blocks. But then, yeah, I feel like we're going to get like Pash or something going down here. Harps. Okay, that's worse. And unfortunately, I don't really think we have a way to deal with an out, do we? Where are the outs? Halo, at the very least. QIS blocks Halo, but then there are probably some other things like Oral. I think I kind of straight up lose to this, unfortunately. Too bad. Going too heavily for that fish over there. Yeah, it's too bad because like the Seedly with a double blank there, that's sort of in the one exact position that kills it because, you have to find a parallel like that in order to block what it was going for. And so we made a big bet on that and lost. I should have just gone Zills in this spot myself last turn. Why didn't I do that? Because, yeah, I feel like actually maybe we should have just gone Zills last turn to kill the triple spot that my opponent would likely take. But there were some other things like Pash and such that were available anyway. I don't know that I have something better than QIS here. My opponent has an out regardless, so I think we just have to go 30 here and play off the extra 1, unfortunately, and just eat the loss for this one. I think we have to eat the loss on it. I just don't see an alternative here. Because I can't block the outs with what I'm looking at. Yeah, Oral was going to go down, so let's pass on that. Too bad. Am I 0-4 today? I'm 0-4 today. Yikes. Worst session we've had here in a long time. Yeah, Halo is better over here. I I think maybe my opponent just had that kind of pre-move, basically expecting QIS on the right or something. But the thing is, I couldn't have dealt with both those spots while dealing with the Q situation. So the Q draw at the end was very unfortunate, but the Q draw at the end could have swung some things, given that I had the remaining I, and it may have been stickable with what my opponent was holding. Had I not drawn the Q as one of the last 3 tiles out of the bag, I think that was a stickable situation from what I'm seeing here. Because I was in a situation where I can play the Q, but my opponent would not have been able to. And so I was essentially playing in such a way that it was gambling on the Q stick. But and doing a 2-tile play is reasonable for that, right? Because then you draw 2 instead of drawing 1, and you leave some flexibility. Because I guess if you played Zills, then you would still have, you'd open up a new Q spot there, and then you would give up on the Q stick route, although it would have prevented Harps from going down for 44. So this one we absolutely will need to look at because of the endgame situation. Maybe it was winnable. But with the Q unseen in that kind of situation, that was a difficult call to make. We will absolutely request this one. We'll have a lot to look over today because we've made so many massive blunders along the way. But yeah, I haven't started out 0-4 on this stream ever, I think. So we're just in a particularly dire situation today, but with many avoidable mistakes. So I'll just step through the plays quickly to see if anything really presents itself. Whipped with the extra T is even better. And then different spot for text. Oh yeah, with the T hook whipped. Not much that I can do here, although I didn't see this overlap. Not much I can do in terms of face value, anyway. Yeah, I was looking at, oh, I didn't see this valid spot. Oh yeah, I had a bit of a blind spot for PEL there. I should have seen that. And then this would really not be in as hook board after that, but can't really argue with that many points on an overlap like that. Because I was definitely thinking about this play in terms of giving myself S's. Yeah. Let's see. Latins goes, there was another spot up here. Oh, okay. Ovoid does take the S. I was really not confident on that. I wonder if there's a lexical difference there. No, ovoids is good on both. It's hard to tell sometimes with the OID endings that you definitely know work as adjectives, but not necessarily as pluralizable nouns. Yeah, tibia. I forgot about the possibility that you still have an E hook over there. Look at this, decoking. Decoing. To take a look. Also DKKO, not that that's ever playable. Jinko as an alternate spelling of ginkgo. Or actually, you just say it the same way out of a Jinko. Yeah. Jinko. So I did talk about this spot. I didn't see Bclog and I didn't look at Belong. We almost certainly should have gone Belong there. Then this was a very heavy racket. I was trying to look for the T ending there. I could not find either of these, unfortunately. Because I was looking for the 5 ending in T. But that was still constant and heavy, rather. I couldn't see it. Where does Runt go? Down here, Fader, yeah. But, well, I mean, who would do that with SSS blank unseen? Because I guess if you are keeping the Y, it's still something that I can use. So, for example, if we drew IA out of this, we would have like Riotly on the left. You keep this, you actually have some possibilities with a draw. Even if it's just a 6, you would keep the Y hook for yourself. Maybe, I guess. But the Y actually mitigates a little bit of the constant balance issue. And yeah, I guess people misspell the Japanese shrubbery often enough in various romanizations that sure, we'll just take everything. Benzil, I didn't even think about. I was trying to go for that. And yeah, not worth it to do the small setup for that. We should have just seen one of these. Because I was thinking so hard about dropping the Z in the middle spot. That only gives you about an extra 30 points. Not worth sacrificing a turn to do it. I just didn't even look at these possibilities. And yeah, you're saying naturally the G only gets replaced by the J with the wrong spelling. So yeah, beautiful play over here with Seedly. It's funny, the equity table just loves B dies here, keeping blank blank. Because almost certainly you can follow up with the blank blank on a subsequent turn. Although, how many in a bag at this point for my opponent? 10 in a bag, yeah. So I to talk about Zills here, Zilas. Those would empty the bag, draw 3. I mean, it looked like I was going to pick up the Q there in a way, but Q was in the last 3, and so we did make a play by drawing 2 here that at least kind of opened up the Q stick route when I was pretty far behind. Harlotry, beautiful. Look at that. My opponent's seen it. And look at this, the H parallel next to the S. If they had seen that, that would have been gigantic. But yeah, I had to take my QIS over there. That seemed to be most I could do with it. Also, it's there as well. Didn't really look at it, but essentially that was not something I could deal with. All right, let's go on. Bad start today all over. But let's see. If I'm given an I in the middle of nowhere, I don't think... Oh, we have cleaving through an I. Cleaving. If we don't get something like that, we'll probably just play out something like Vang somewhere and try to get out of the V situation. Yeah, the sim, or rather the equity table, loves harlotry because who doesn't? So yeah, awful run today, but lots of lessons to learn about the game in doing so. So we'll see. We're going to hopefully have an I to work with. If we don't have an I to work with, we'll adjust accordingly. Exchange 2. Okay, fine. Let's see. Do I just play Vang? Or do we have something that can land the V or the C somewhere maybe even better? Like if we go for something like clave, keeping NG, that's not bad either. Scores well and handles the G. So that was an exchange 2, though. Exchange 2 tells me we could get punished for this, but we will have something playable here, I hope. Let's look at something long, something long. Or even something like helloing or... something similar. Let's see. I bet we can. There's something. I mean, C would give you collagen, for instance. It does go all the way to the bottom and open a triple lane. So we're looking at stuff like collagen. There might be something a little better than that. If we're given an I in the middle of nowhere, we'll probably do like helloing, or, well, that's not in the middle of nowhere. Collagen will no longer fit. We might still be able to do something here, though. Enrolling, no, quite. Long leg, long legs. Do we try it? Long leg? Because is the creature that is a long legs ever referred to as a long leg? I don't know. Do we have evolving? Evol. No. Sorry. Evolve. We have two L's. That doesn't go. Evolving is two V's, not two L's. Too bad we lost a collagen spot. Do we still have a spot for something like that? No. I feel like we absolutely have something here, and I'm just not seeing it. Let's see. I feel like long leg absolutely draws a challenge, but long leg. I would not have seen it by probability because it's GGLL. Totally dangles an S hook on the right. Let's try it. And we have antique. Look at that. If this is good. If it's not, then we have a problem. But we don't even have a place for antique right now, but there could be quite a few. We have equating to the G, to either G. If long leg stays, I don't think there's any play that's going to block both Gs. Unless it's a play that goes above the L for a triple word score. Like this would block the G. Otherwise, Antiquer goes, and then, or equating rather, equating Antiquer and Cointer to the R, that's not going to fit. Stuff like Quantize through the S doesn't fit. So we're looking at equating. Yeah, so the S is, I think, only things like Quantize and Antiques. R is just Antiquer and Cointer. Neither of them will fit. We should think about the L. Hang on just a moment while I rearrange a bit. Maybe even the extra E. But anyway, like I said, very unlikely that both G's get killed. There is the possibility that there's a bingo up here. That's one thing that we need to be aware of. That would kill the play as well. And that would probably obstruct by enough that we don't have a second choice past that. So that's something that we need to be aware of. But those would probably be the shapes of the plays that would have to be required to kill equating. So I think there's a pretty good chance that we'll get it down. Unless long leg gets challenged off or something. So we'll see what happens. Bit of a long turn on that side as the opponent deliberates. I mean, worst case, we still have Q plays here, for instance. Oh, do we have something maybe to the C? Hang on. Let's take a look at this properly. And Joseph, welcome. Yeah, we've had a pretty bad run today, to be honest, but it's been an educational one. Also, I should think about whether there are 3-letter extensions in front of clave. Because I think there are. I just can't visualize them at the moment. Long turn on my opponent's side, so we'll see what happens. Dr. Shade, you can't believe long leg is still on the board. You think it seems very low plausibility? Yeah, like for sure with the S it would be good, right? For sure, because it's the creature. But I wonder if we had something better there. I just couldn't see anything through the S or the R that would give me what I needed. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's very difficult to tell, based on whether someone is or isn't a native speaker or what they consider common themselves in their region. Okay, so equating will go down. That was a long turn. Let's check the different spots. Equating here for 86. E's not really in a great spot. Q. This isn't too bad in terms of the parallels. It does give you that corner structure that is not too bad. I mean, you could have, something that would be an IP ending or something next to it, but I feel like this is actually less vulnerable than the other spot. Especially with, I don't know. Let's take it. So long leg is a phony, okay, and long legs was also a phony. Oh yeah, I guess that kind of gives away. Well, that's okay. It's less likely to be an issue, but yeah, it's true that we probably should have remained in the dark about that. We have live long through the V on that turn. Okay. Live long. All the live long day. Yeah, because like long legs, I would have just 100% accepted, right? Long leg by itself. Who knows? But I don't know if anything else was available on that turn once collagen was blocked on the left. We probably should have managed to rack a little bit on that one and just gone for a big play on the following turn, but That was an incredible scenario there, just drawing straight into antique with no fuss. Let's see what I have with the J here. That might actually hit. We should be looking at spots like this, but I don't currently see anything. Oh, we have rejoices from an R, except we don't have a spot for it. However, we can just go rejoice as a continuation, and that significantly improves the rack. Of course, if we're just given an R in the middle of nowhere, that would be great. But if we're not, then there was much rejoicing. Rejoice, actually, with the J in the middle spot, that's even better. Way better, in fact. Rejoice for 48. Way better. Not as much of an issue for the triple as well. There are some things that will connect to the J in fourth position, but it's not as likely. Yeah, that's the thing. We were so certain about long leg taking. Yeah, so regardless, unavailable now, unless it's a situation where somebody would try to, dump an S there in endgame or something. But yeah, that's. And the risk of doing this live is that mistakes do happen. That's all right. We'll try not to get in trouble for having any information we shouldn't. So I'm currently looking at probably just playing off a BAN. So I know that. So here's one of those things, and it might be a lexical difference. BAN and S is good. I know that. That, however, has a meaning that doesn't just drop the S, at least in. Well, I'm trying to remember if BANN is also good in colons. It might be. I should have known this from hooks. I feel like this actually stuck out at me at some point as. Yeah, because I know in TWL or WoW that bans does not drop the S. Now, if we're ahead, we're probably not going to do a big opening like this. I might have to just eat the PNST constant heaviness over here. Hair for 40, yeah, something like that was going to happen. My opponent's way down on time. I think they might have been struggling a little bit here, but other possibility is something like plant. I don't really like keeping B and S like that, though. I think we'll just continue, because this doesn't really close up as such. Let's just continue building. See what happens. Still a little bit heavy on everything. But we can still continue to build up top. With something like, POH for 27. I mean, it's still a bit heavy. Actually, HARE or PARE, a lot of those would still drop an S hook continuation, which I can use, but with only S blank unseen. But if we're ahead, I probably should keep it closed. So either one of these still kind of opens up S lanes above, though. So I feel like anything we do here that would score reasonably would still have some issues. Oh, we still have the H spot down here as well that we shouldn't forget about. We actually have the CH parallel, which is so easy to miss. We'll probably do something POH unless we want to go DOH. P is a bit better to keep because we have the PL start. So we might even go for a point sacrifice to do that, like 3-point sacrifice, because the P seems to work a little bit better on this board, but hard to say. Yeah, according to Ngram, daddy long legs has basically been 3 to 6 times more common than daddy long space legs. Basically forever. Yeah, very, very surprising. There are a few things like that where, like, I think sometimes when a word only ever appears as a like in a diagram, that sometimes you don't see them show up. Like there's some lexical nuance that I know that, for example, like nucleic is one that kind of famously is not in the North American book. I'm pretty sure it is in Collins, but nucleic, 100% is a word, right? But then I remember learning early on that because in the corpus it only ever appeared in strings like nucleic acid and didn't appear as a word by itself, then nucleic got dropped out. That was in TWL and WoW, so Collins would do something a little bit different, I think. My opponent's just going to lose on time, I think. Like, I don't know if they're just playing distracted or if they are really having decisional issues, because we might just end up with a time forfeit on this one, which would be unfortunate because I want to play through the game. I hope it's not just connection issues or something on their end, because like we are going to win on the time forfeit if this doesn't get sorted out quickly. Yeah, and as you're saying, they include stuff like OS, which only appears in compound words that are the Latin names of bones. Okay, so found bounties. All right. Let's see. So now we kind of have a game again, which is fine. And unfortunately, that does actually block my H spot that we were looking at up top, which I was really hoping to use there for a big play. Let's see what we can do. At this point, then, I think, then we reopen because it's kind of close. So we can open the S lane. Well, any lane we give ourselves is going to nudge itself next to a triple. Would we rather have a P there or an H there? I don't think it makes a difference other than the points, so let's go for this. Of course, I'm looking at this and wondering, would we have had anything had we kept the P? I'm not sure, but let's continue to build with this. My opponent will be in time penalty and is at big risk of forfeiting, so we'll just continue to play and hopefully not blow this, given what an advantageous situation I have right now. I think we just go goad or something down here. Keep NAST. Unless I'm missing something like a bingo to the L. I don't think I am. Totally forgot what I said earlier about keeping the P for the L spot on the right. That's okay. Let's just kill this and draw very poorly. Tangents through an E. We don't have that, unfortunately. I think that'll fit. You are pretty sure that I did have a bingo there. Yeah, we'll look at it afterwards. Okay. Why you? Ooh, that hits pretty hard. And this actually draws the game, so we can't fall asleep at a wheel here. We're still responsible for, actually playing this. Let's not blow this game. Yeah, given an advantage we came in with. This is not a very good situation to work with, though. Let's see if... Because I'm currently just looking at something like gent, except that would leave... Well, I mean, I have the A. So I can use the A as my follow-up on this, as long as my opponent doesn't use an A first. This is just 8 points. We're kind of in a bit of a dangerous situation, though. Darndest through an E. We still don't have anything like that, but we'll probably see if we can just go darns here for 27 just to stay ahead. ONY at least doesn't dangle an X anymore. Yeah, no, IO takes a G in front. It does not take an N. Well, this is no longer really an S hook board, except for maybe the spot on share. So I think we just have to take this, unless we want to go darts. ND with a better synergy than TD. Let's go for that. My opponent has to play fast, so that might work out to our advantage. But the thing is, I still have to play decently, right? Like, there's still a Z on C, and I can't just... yeah, I can't really just... make a mess of this here. Now, P, looking at the available pool, the P will not take anything on the left side. P will not take anything on the left. So this is safe. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing a huge Z spot that we haven't found a way to deal with. Because Z here, Z here. Do I have something here? Anti-weed through an I. We don't have that. It's funny because we have 2 in the bag. If I play off something like the W, I think we actually have a decent chance at a play from the S. I don't think I risk it at this point. I think we just try to win. Probably just some kind of play with the W on the left side. Let's see. 2 in a bag. Let's just kill the spot. Unless we have a better way to deal with it. At this point, no A's left for anything interesting with the Z. Unless... Let me make sure that's actually the case. I don't think we're too vulnerable to Z plays at this point, but... So we should just go for points, maybe. It is very tempting to just play 2 and threaten a bingo draw. Emptying the bag, of course, but let me make sure that there's nothing That will outright kill me for this. Let's go for it. And I've got the Z. Okay, that's fine. We'll be able to use it. Am I able to use it? Let's make sure I didn't just completely blow this here. Anything AZ or EZ here? No, let's see. Yeah, we'll look at some of the plays you're talking about in just a moment. Pizzicato, spiccato, conclave, etc. Let me figure out the situation first, so I don't just lose to carelessness. I'm trying to see, like, if we do this, as long as my opponent doesn't have an out, and he's got like 8 seconds to find something. I don't think he has something. Oh, unfortunately, this gives a play back. Like, he can just block that, and then we don't get our A set up. No, he can just use it immediately, so I can't do that, unfortunately. I have to actually play. Let's just go. Oh, well, hang on. I mean, we've got so many spots with the Z that we can score with. We might as well just like score points. I can't do the setup play. It's not going to work. Does defs work? I don't want to try it. I don't want to try it. Let's just play off. I think we have a much better sequence. But am I there? Yeah, we'll just dump Z somewhere. Points. And okay. This was extremely suboptimal as an ending, but whatever. I think I played that really badly, but we'll take the win. So you saw Saltando back on the AA rack much earlier, and you were looking up similar music words to see if the North American Dictionary also had them. Yeah, most music terms are there. Saltando, as you looked up earlier, is only in Collins. Okay. Yeah, there are some that are actually really surprising omissions. I'm trying to remember what it was that was Collins only. That's like a very common music term that I had come across. There was something really, really super common in music that I was thinking about recently that would 100% expect to be good. Let me get the analysis on this one because I feel like I really played the ending poorly. We missed many sequences that could have been possible. So anyway, one win on a day, and it wasn't even a very good finish. I have Diatron, so it's going to be a rematch. And I am holding Diatron at the outset. Ritenuto is the one I'm thinking about. I think Zigzy. Yeah. I think I had talked about it on a recent stream too. That like I couldn't believe Ritenuto wasn't there. Diatron for 70 over there, or we can take a slightly more defensive spot. It's not really that more defensive. Sacrifice 2 points to not give away the O spot, basically, but I don't know if that really is going to make too much of a difference. Yeah, sure. Because then the S hook doesn't hit a double either. Yeah, Zigzy, that was the one I was thinking of, definitely. Ritenuto. I just could not believe that was in both. You didn't like the gent play earlier that was setting up the A there because I was very close to JD, JE at the top. Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking about the J situation for sure. And that's not one that I'd really thought about. Okay, gravies, diatrons. Okay, so the placement did work out for me in terms of mitigating a few small points. And of course, we're looking at the ing on the top there, in case we have something, and I don't think we do. And of course, the ABLE, well, not going to go on this board. Let's see what we can try here. This is surprisingly defensive. I don't really like a lot of my options for playing through that R, which I was considering. We should look at the AL ending as well. I don't think we're going to find anything, though. Let me just find some kind of reasonable play. What do we go bling over here? Well, no, that's vulnerable to something like a Q counter. I was thinking, like, can we do something with my H? I really don't like my options here. Let's go here, 14. We're not going to score very well anyway, so let's just try to manage the rack in a reasonable way. And that draws a challenge. Yeah, Joseph, I wasn't really following why you were looking up Conclave earlier. Did we actually have a turn where that was available? Because I thought one of the C's had come down pretty early, but yeah, if the E were in a better place than Hibernal was there. Yes, that's right. Just a bit of an unfortunate corner for that. Logo. There's a little 10-point management play there. Let's see what we can do with this. The V is really kind of a nuisance. And we can just go Hori. It keeps EAU, which I don't like. If we have a place to just go YOU somewhere, a reasonable number of points, we should. But I am not seeing it. We do have the NY spot potentially for something decent. This kind of just opens up, though. Well, not that we're really far ahead. It's a much better leave, at least, for 20, because what was I talking about over here? Hori for 30, but with balance issues afterwards. I don't mind this play, actually. 20. It's not a big point gain on the other place, but we can follow up with the O down below. This has got to be something, or at least close to it. Unearths and hearts. There's a bunch that goes with the T. I don't think it starts with a T, though. I don't think we have something that would have an early T. Unhears? Unhears. If something is unheard of, can you unhear something? Like if you sort of are trying to unhear something, like you can unsee something. I think so. there's a better spot for it. 76 over there does dangle the S. So not as defensive, but 67. This is more stylish. 76. Take the 9 points, but with the consequence of leaving the S. Let's do it. Now, this is going to have a bingo through the S as well. That's what we have. Oh, the conclave as the extension on top of, in front of clave. Yeah, that's right. We were talking about that, and that was the turn that I ended up playing Rejoice. I think on balance, I probably. Oh, actually, I don't know. That's not necessarily clear. On balance, I think I go Rejoice that turn anyway because that is more closed and it scores well. But okay, unfortunately, bingo is closed off. Let me make sure we don't have something else here. I feel like stuff like elections such through E. I don't think we have anything through G. Or what about R? I have to look at this one carefully because with the R, it actually looks like it might be something. But if not, we'll try to block up a little bit down here. And yeah, welcome Terminator. Let's see. With the R, it totally looks like there's something in there. It might even be something really obvious. Is it? Am I thinking? No, I'm thinking of Triolia, and this with 2 L's. Okay, let's not spend too much time on that for a moment. Let's maybe just try to obstruct. There might be something through ST as a 9, but I'm not sure I'll see it. I think we'll just obstruct a little bit. It's not a total obstruction, but NE is hard to hit with a back hook, so. ST is also kind of hard to work with in terms of back hook. Did I seriously miss deletion? Oh, I missed deletion, yeah. Yeah, right here. Let's see what we can do with that X. It's all right. We're kind of keeping it closed. I mean, obviously, deletion would have been nice. We did have one situation earlier today where I basically lost to giving away a triple-triple, but it's not a reason not to do that in that situation. We might think about obstructing a little bit more up top, but priority will just be to try to score with the X without opening up too much. So we'll see what happens. So close to something like existed, or even Xisty, XYSTI. Like, I'm looking at things that you can do with the X. Coked is available. We will try to hit it. We just have Dixie. In fact, we could just hit Dixie there. It does open up a big lane on the right side, and I don't think I care. Dixit is even better here. Dixit. So that's got to be right. Dixit. I think I'm thinking of Aquiline. Aquiline. Regardless, we'll just play off. Oh, that drew a challenge. Great. Yeah, we'll try to obstruct a bit with a Q. Might even just go QIN over here if we're able to. And get out of the Q situation a bit. QADI over here is good too. Doesn't really reshape the board or anything, but does give you 30 and gives me a very strong leave for lanes that are still available. I think actually this looks best. Because alternative here was something like QIN, ALAE. Nah, we are going left. And we have unwell available. There's a 6 if we want to obstruct. I don't think unwell would take an S. I challenge it. We'll see. I mean, obviously, we should look at anything that would give us an ending over the X. Technically, we did open up a spot next to the I here. So we shouldn't neglect that. But we'll see. I'm liking unwell here. Just turn over with 2 blanks unseen. This is assuming that it does not take an S. I can't imagine that it could. Nor does it take an S in front because this isn't World of Warcraft. But yeah, you could, assuming that unwell doesn't take an S, really kill off quite a lot of the bottom area and get rid of the W and the U. So I'm liking it as to play right now. Dr. Shay taking a big risk there by looking up Sunwell there. Okay, so unwell, I can't put it on the left, unfortunately. Although W goes before AI. That's okay. I'm still way ahead. The thing about AI, though, it is a bit of a risk at the moment. I don't know if I can afford to leave it. 1 blank going down, and this A spot is kind of an issue too, isn't it? Let's see what I can do here. Because maybe I can take this first. Yeah, because like imagine if you have Zeta or something going down there, that would be huge. I think we could go something like Loon. Then we at least get rid of the. So I'm probably more worried about a J play or a Z play there than I am about anything else. Like that looks like it's actually the biggest threat at the moment. So yeah, we have to do it. HI gives me a P in front. I'd probably do pretty well just by playing off the W by itself. But we could also just go like this, and then we keep the P for the PHI hook. I'm liking that idea. Unfortunately, that will not go too well, but we can just go perv here, probably. Keep in mind, this stuff is still available if you have something like Zesty with a Y draw. Stun. Okay. I mean, this is pretty easy to kill. The G up top, of course, is still a potential issue, but I think we can probably outrun anything going over there. 14 in the bag. I think we definitely go perv. And then we give ourselves a Z setup spot on top of that as well, if we draw into A or E or O. So decently high probability, except, of course, if this happens. $10 in the bag. I guess it's even for vowels and consonants. I would very seriously consider an exchange out of this unless we find a way out of this situation. Because this isn't a board that is giving me vowels to play through at the moment. Yeah, Joseph, you're saying that if you play Loon on the left over here, you'd block that and then draw into Jedi or Zeta or something, yeah. That's all right. I mean, I was ahead. I'm the one who needs to block it, right? Like, if I draw it and regret not having the spot, big deal. But it was my opponent's likeliest comeback route, so I absolutely take it. Okay, so 8 tiles in a bag. This is the last opportunity to do an exchange if we want to do it. And if so, I need to think about what we would be doing. The other thing I could do is just VLY here. We basically, but then we're still super heavy on vowels. Also, this area here next to the F, that's something that we're not considering closely enough, perhaps. We're so close to something like glitzy, just with an I draw. Or glitz, and then we have the Y to hook onto it for glitzy. That's an idea. But I don't actually have a way to get to that, I don't think. Let's see what we can do here. The other thing is just MY here, but then that does open up a lane. So probably not. I think we might exchange into this, but then what would I do? Would I be trying to keep the glitzy idea, or because definitely we dumped a W, or well, yeah, we would just basically need any vowel, and then we would be able to. Because the thing is, drawing an I gives me the glitzy idea. Drawing any of the other vowels gives me the Z parallel up here, and then we shed the W. I think we're going to try this and hope we don't get punished by a sudden bingo or something. Let's go exchange DMW. Okay, then this gives you the ZE and not a whole lot else, but that's okay. That was worth a try. And we do still have stuff like MYC over here. Depending on what the situation is, we don't want to give that away right away, I don't think. And yeah, Joseph, you were also favoring exchanging DMW, yeah. I like that. I mean, this thing is the thing I'm probably most worried about at the moment. I don't think we'd give away the back here, depending on whether we empty the bag, of course. That is a major consideration when it comes to what we do. I think we probably just take... Oh, okay, this is going to go down first. That's fine. There is, as you can see, a pretty serious attempt to drop something next to P over here, so we should think about what I can do. The thing is, FY is something that would be able to give me something to maybe obstruct space. I almost think that we should Well, I don't know if we'd want to burn to Z, but I'm not sure that I have a good second choice there for obstructing. Because T might be too bingo friendly, even though the pool doesn't actually look bingo friendly at all at the moment. The thing is, we still have another chance at vowel draws, and the vowel draws. Well, this would give up on glitz though for an I draw. I think we just take the points. Take the points. There definitely are bingo possibilities on the right side, but they're nothing that I can't outscore at this point. Even though I am in a situation where we're going to have some tempo issues, and my opponent will almost certainly play out first. Yeah, that's the thing. Yet would have opened up to Yeti with two eyes unseen. I was definitely thinking YEZ there, like as the obstruction play, but then that does give up quite a few points. That might have been best, still, to be honest. YEZ. And you kill this as a 7 that ends up trailing S, and it doesn't really take much else, and the rack doesn't look that favorable to playing through the Z with a bingo. And it's actually not that much fewer points than. Well, I mean, it scores in the 20s, right? So you're sacrificing with 20 points, but then you're kind of locking down against any huge comeback and shedding an additional consonant. So, titties with the spelling, I will, of course, check it. It is good. And I can't do anything about the depositioning here. However, AOU, so I need to make sure I just don't have so much that I'm sitting on that I lose to not being able to play anything out. Let's see what I can do here, because this is way too heavy on absolutely everything. Trying to see if I have a spot for MY, or we have a spot for VLY. Yeah, because this is a tricky situation where I could get caught out by something if I'm not careful. What is the play for my opponent? We are not going to see a parallel next to D. We are probably not going to see. Well, the play would be auto or outo through to T for an out. Now I'm about 50 ahead. That's fine. So we're probably still okay. But I think we obstruct using the C. And I think I'm okay. Let me just make sure there's nothing else. Oh, I'm down in time. Hang on. I'm way down in time. I didn't realize. Oh, I totally gave away Oka over here. Whoops. Whoops. I totally threw that back. But that's okay. It prevented the out. Well, no, this was a bad play. This was a bad play. I totally gave away a huge point swing. Big mistake. Oh well. Probably just VLY or something next. Unless I. Oh, I should have gone Gym. GYM over here. That was the play. And we would have been able to outrun the out. So yeah, that was a terrible play just now. Oh well. Yeah, Oka. Let's just play and sacrifice the points at the end. So yeah, we've been playing some pretty bad endings today, partly from time pressure. They should not have let it get that close at the end, even with the constant situation that we had. But anyway, that finishes on a 2 and 4. Actually, unhears is no good. Unhears was a phony. Wonder if there was a 7 in that. but we got away with that one for sure. So yeah, we'll put this one through the sim anyway, just to look at the ending. So the only one I didn't request a sim for then was the one that was the massive blowout today. But all of the games actually had some decisions that were a bit questionable on my part, I think, that we want to look at. But we will finish today on 2 and 4. 2 against the same opponent. We had a rating advantage too. Anyway. Yeah, so I think I played the ending pretty badly, but we can look at that. Even the wins were bad today. Not very good. Yeah, and here's I was actually so confident in, but we got away with that today. So we got away with that, and was it long leg in the last game that also stayed on? Anyway, let's get back to the main page, and we'll come back and look at all of this stuff once we go through all the games. Actually, yeah, we might as well look at just the equity table first while we're waiting for the analysis, and we'll go back to round 1 after that, just to see what was available. Vagaries through a double-double. I'm going to miss that. And here's no bingo available that turn then. Deletion we missed. All the second place plays are pretty dinky across the board. Dixit hits pretty decently. Unwheel. Because I was looking at unwell as the parallel there and realizing that doesn't fit, I did not consider unwheel. I don't know if I would have been confident in that one anyway. So yeah, I wonder if there was something in on here's as a 7. Maybe not. Maybe there's nothing there. And pre-law rather than just law. And yeah, I should have noticed at this point it's an extremely constant heavy bag. Second spot for perv, or was it? Oh, over here. That would have opened up the S hook on the right, though. I don't think I would have done it. Perving actually plays through. LYM, I actually... Oh, I didn't... Oh, I've seen Baffy before. Should have known that hook. Baffy. I absolutely should have seen it. Because MYC would have gone there as well, and that would have blocked everything. On the later turn when we had the C draw. And likewise, yeah, we had a total blind spot for this. That would have hit spectacularly in many ways. So yeah, we just missed it repeatedly. Then this would have been an out as well. That would have really been threatening, actually, because that would have been a plus 37 on that one. That would have gotten how many points off me? 11 points in that play gets 376, and then 376 plus 26. Okay, that still doesn't win, but that would have hit pretty hard. So MIC is actually such a terrible play, and I'm sure that the engine will reflect that. We'll go through all of this again later. Let's go back to round 1 first. I did mention MIC, but I didn't see the Baffy hook. The Baffy hook is what I missed. I was looking at MYC down here originally, before Peg went down. So I didn't forget about it, I just didn't see the other remaining spot. Okay, let me just take a look at our record on the day. It was bad. We didn't do well at all, but we'll learn something from the experience if we can. So let's go back to some of the requests we made. I'll not take too long. We'll just look at a few specific trouble spots maybe. Yeah, you assumed I meant Baffy because of where my mouse was pointing. Yeah, no, I was talking about NYC in the bottom spot. I didn't even see Baffy, even though I should have known it. Good in both Lexica too. For sure, we've seen it before. And let me get to the analysis board in this game. We'll bring it up. Okay, so Missed Virago. That's pretty clearly just a word knowledge issue there. And yeah, this is an exchange rack, obviously, keeping NS. Jog is fine. Ooh, look at that. This would have hit 2 Tanias. Type of Britannia metal. Interesting. I should do a lexicon check on this one as well. Yeah, it's one of those where, you'll have all these low probability tiles, but you might not necessarily see this bingo as low probability because of some duplication and a U and all that stuff, but Titania. Okay, so Vapor. That's better there. Oh, that's the same spot that... Where was the... No, this wasn't the game where we placed Vital in a bad spot. But anyway. So yeah, this is just big miss, not seeing Spitfire. Or Fire Pits, for that matter. And then here's Sponger. That was big miss. That was readily available. One that sponges. Should have seen that for sure. What was I even thinking? I was considering whether Pongers is in there. Maybe... No, it's only Sponger and the other one that was... Yeah, Sponger pre-song. So that's just a rack that I should know, and which I just kind of blanked on in that moment. That was a huge mistake. Look at this massive 27% drop on my play there. And yeah, large mistake over here, about a 30% drop over here as well. Now, because we didn't see pre-warms, I was trying to go PRE something through the A. I was looking at the PRE prefix for ages. Spent several minutes on it, and we still did not see pre-warms. And look, there's so much available. That didn't just dangle this spot here. For the massive swing here, Boneless Noblesse would have hit, or even more, without the blank in the middle spot over there. But of course, Boneless is even more defensive in some ways, although the sim likes Noblesse by an additional 2%. Missed a spot here for the E. What do we do? Oh, yeah, okay, so I just straight up missed it. Should have been a fairly obvious one there, too, and would have closed a lot of distance. And then... Let's see. Max over here, I thought I'd considered that. What was I saving the X for? Well, it paid off that I saved the X. I was thinking I'd save the X for a big play. And we actually managed to get out of that one all right. ILX actually favored over ULEX here because we were holding the Q. I should have not just played it so impulsively and remembered that we were holding the Q. Because, yeah, that's a 5% difference there. And that was just a matter of like having ULEX in mind already and not paying attention to my rack. Because, of course, you keep U with the Q. Wifey's pretty good over there. Q at least goes down despite the misplay on the previous turn. Okay, so pre-end game, this is where we get into some trouble. 7% loss. Yeah, because I guess this opens up a lot more space. And the Brunts basically locks in to win at this point. I actually do find the best sequence over here, surprisingly enough, because, I mean, the out's going to happen, but this still comes out ahead of any other possibilities, it seems. All right. So, yeah, I mean, this one was defined by the bingo misses, essentially. That was where the mistakes were coming from. And yeah, there's no excuse. Like, this is a rack that 100% I should know properly. And that's absolutely something that has to be addressed. Okay, let's look at another one. This one, I think I also had ending issues. Let's... oh yeah, this was the X-Raid game. I wonder. Let me just take a look at the plays first. I think I was thinking of Druxy, not Draxy. Druxy, D-R-U-X-Y. Ooh, look at this. Tiger Eye. I have a tiger. But of course, my opponent was just going to challenge that off instead of playing through it. And X-Ray, yeah, big miss for me over here. I'm just going to scroll through this quickly because we will look at the sim properly for it. Look at this. Favoring this with, of course, having the S available in two different spots. Score nicely. And yeah, I was considering, well, we'll have to look at a sim for this one in terms of which one's favored, but equity-wise, just from the 19-point gain, that comes out quite a ways ahead. That one we need to look at a sim for. Look at this. Was that on? Yeah, that was on my turn. We played wad over here. I didn't even look at this. Would I have known it though? Yeah, no. For sure, I've seen it. It's pretty high probability. I would have seen it as a variant of WEASON, which, like, I would have seen this in the definition of other more common words that are in there. I think it's Z as well. That's interesting. Lots of variations. So yeah, we played a bit quickly on that turn. I don't know that I would have seen it anyway, though. Look at this spectacular one over here. Iopanoic. Beautiful. Right, this was the one where I don't think I found something, did I? Let me check this, lexically speaking. Collins only, very difficult to find. We should have seen Pagonia. Oh, because I was shying off from Polonia, which is not a word, it seems. Because I was thinking, Polonia, no. But I should have seen Pagonia because it has the blank in the same spot, and I know it. For sure, I've seen it before. Yeah, for sure we know it. What a spectacular one down here, though. So yeah, that's absolutely a huge mistake in its own right when it's so close. Look at a CWTCH available as well. Very difficult to see. And Paginal was available here. We went for Platina instead. I didn't think about the S hook for Scotch. That was something I didn't even consider. Yanola, yeah. We were going to find something that turn at least. Yeah. You are not sure you've seen that word before? CWTCH or Iopanoic? Or both? Snow slip, beautiful up here. Right, we wanted to look at the ending to see the Q play. Yeah, that's why we wanted to look at this one closely. Let's put it in the sim. Just a moment. And we did request this one, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we need to go to the start. So, yeah, obviously a large mistake to, miss the first turn. Exchange QI, 5% mistake or so. I'm not doing X-ray. Remix, it didn't like as much as exam. But it's marginal. I usually do take the trade-off of kind of taking the ×4 and giving back ×3. Maybe that's not the best use of a tile like that, though, when something a little more closed up that isn't as easy to parallel below, as it only takes the O was available. So the sim really does not like Zerta. And look at this, yeah, it's thinking that I have a bingo chance next turn of 75% versus 31%, and that it scores decently enough that the averages kind of work out over the subsequent turn, just given that I'm strongly favored to bingo with the S lanes available. So yeah, that was something we should have kept in mind. I think, oh yeah, because we had Zerta on the left spot, because I was still thinking Zerta because we had it in the right side spot originally, and I guess that does give back a little too much. Because Zerta, I'm giving my opponent back an additional average of 12 points, and the next turn I'm kind of taking a play that's lower by an average of 18 points because of the massive drop in bingo percentage. So that's what's going on there. Vomiteer, beautiful find. So yeah, I consider Joss. We didn't take it. It does come out ahead. To say no to that many points, I guess, when it closes up that much of a difference, even if the next turn actually we still do better with the opponent average there. Well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, we still retain a pretty high scoring chance after WAD average 66 on the next turn. But notice that the bingo chance is really not a factor there. Yeah, because I guess if we're playing WAD first, I'm kind of keeping the possibility of... Oh, no, because we played JO, no wonder. Yeah, I didn't even play WAD. We played JO, no wonder that was a problem. Yeah, because at least WAD would have kept JO SS available next turn. Yeah, this is what I actually played, and that was quite bad in comparison. Because we did have both plays available, and then we can, sort out the playing order, but we should have considered building towards that instead of just dumping the J immediately, even though we did manage to parallel next to it with the W in a subsequent turn. This was a mistake, but surprisingly not too much of one. And ooh, look at that, KNOSP. An architectural ornament in the form of a bud. And I should have known that. It's in both, and it anagrams just to KNOPS, I think. Unless I'm confusing that with something. Yeah, we would have seen that together as a set. KNOPS, KNOSP. Didn't think about a KN start. So, lots of issues. And this was the I open Oic turn. Huge drop in win percentage just on that. Paginal is significantly favored over Platina. Platina gives back quite a bit. It's pretty close when it comes to my opponent's next turn, but obviously then the difference is, take the extra 24 points. Bell turns out pretty well over here. Snow Slip is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful play. QI by itself doesn't turn out too badly. I guess you give yourself so much flexibility with the blank going into the in-game situation. Bingo draw is 34% out of that, as opposed to almost nothing. Kani by itself is a little behind what I played because I guess the hook is mine for the taking, but it's pretty easily blocked. And missed this possibility of just doing a parallel without worrying about hitting the triple, so we can actually go for out in 2. I didn't consider just not hitting the triple. That's actually much, much better. Considering that, with all these 1-pointers, it's not like the triple matters very much anyway if you just get more parallels. So obviously a vowel heavy play is a little bit better there and gives us likely a sequence with one in the bag to go out on the next turn with just about any draw. So yeah, my opponent misses Puny up here as potentially the best route. This was also where we were talking about the possibility of YGOE down here. As one of the alternatives. And yeah, here I didn't really see what to do, but I don't think I have a win available at this point, given I'm just gaining 2 points on this with the other sequence. Depending on what my opponent can see here. Tai, Peng if they see it, or Peng, which I went for. And then I finish on the AG. Either way, yeah, so I guess the idea behind this is that it takes out Teg, which didn't happen anyway, but if my opponent's playing optimally, then we do better with the IE on this sequence first in terms of how it adds up at the end. But then at that point, it's kind of lost, so yeah, I wonder, because this is still not a guaranteed win. Piney would have been a guaranteed win, though. Interestingly enough, probably from some of the remaining scoring possibilities, probably with FY, actually, with EF over the NY over here, that takes care of a lot of business. It's a very flexible leave to work with. But at this point, I don't think I actually have a win, then. This is already pretty far down. Okay. So yeah, I think I was going to fall behind with a lot of those draws at the end anyway. But this one I might have to look at it a little bit closer to kind of understand exactly what's going on with the sub 100% win percentage on IF over here. I think it kind of depends pretty heavily on what draws are remaining. And that I guess we might have been able to outpace if we had played one of these. But it's saying win percentage 0% on all of these at this point, even if we do have the 8-point gain on a sequence that would be optimal. Yeah, it loses on all draws. Everything loses on all draws when it's in the one-in-bag situation. Assuming, of course, that my opponent finds the optimal plays, which is not really guaranteed. But optimally speaking, that's not winnable at that point. Yeah, this one that was the 200-point loss, we didn't request a sim for that because I was just limited to 5. But we did step through to plays briefly, so we'll skip that one for the moment. Let's take a look at this one because this one I think we blew the ending. Let's see. I had looked at the plays for this one previously, so let's just go straight to the sim for it. Yeah, whip and whipped. Whipped balances the constant slightly better. Jig or jib, I was considering that either way. It turns out jig actually does come out ahead by quite a bit. Because the G is just that bad. Anyway, at this point, this is considered much better, just given the quality of the leave. But a 54% bingo draw. Of course, this is dependent on a few things. I mean, there is the IT hook down below. But I think this is partly dependent on you being confident that ovoid does in fact take an S, which I was not 100% about. And yeah, Joseph, I guess we really should have the reminder of the extra typo command, exclamation G, reminder number n+1, the G is the worst tile in the bag. Yeah, ovoid is good in both, of course. But I can't keep the OID and OIDS ending straight, often even if it sounds totally common. So yeah, huge percentage loss for this one when it comes to our winning chances. I was thinking I'd just open some space there, but this was where valid was available down here. We were talking about that play earlier. So kind of big over here. Yeah, the mistakes have been huge in this one. I mean, look at how bad the estimated ELO is on this game. It's just absolutely dreadful. We almost certainly blew the ending too. Latins we found, at least. Boking, in spite of the fact that I talked about extending from the B so many times over the course of the game, we just never really looked at it properly. Yeah, Boking, BOKE. And same spot on the right for B Clog, which we didn't know. That's an 11% drop. Just massive misses all over the place. I mean, Belong would have been reasonable too. Keeping COT. We're still ahead at this point, but even with my opponent having this situation where they're drowning in ease, we don't manage to make it out. This was a difficult one to manage. We're just asking for constant trouble by not finding the play up top, even though I was looking for something that would kind of be of that shape. Run at least comes out well. Not that we have very many options at this point. And yeah, exchange. This is supposed to be an exchange rack. 20 in the bag. Blank, blank, SSS, unseen. Why are we not exchanging? Because it's not like because I was thinking, I'm ahead a little bit. We might as well just, play off the Y and we'll be okay. No, this should have been an exchange rack, especially given the pool. Especially given the pool. Because otherwise we just get into a situation where I slow down all the way to the end because we drown in consonants, mostly. So yeah, this was just missing this because we're going for the bezils setup on the right side, which was not worthwhile. So that's a large drop as well. And that gets taken on the right. Something would have gone down regardless, but because we didn't take that 50-point play, we didn't keep it even. So look at this. Rail is favored. Drawing 3 and with a... I mean, we know in hindsight that this would have been a Q draw and the Q draw would still be a problem, but this does threaten the Z in that spot. And yeah, this was not even on my radar, something that would have been ahead here, but the average score on my next turn comes out way ahead. Now, of course, it's hard to see that and just kind of give up 35 points on this turn when I really feel like I need to close up the points. And because I was, again, thinking about a potential Q-stick route at that point. This is really interesting that this comes out so far ahead. Yeah, average on the next turn is 30 points up. But you're giving up so much to do it. And the thing is, like, what happens if this is conditional on a Q draw? We might need to go through this in the command line or something to look at this a bit more closely, because well, the situation that we know actually turned out, which is H in a bag, my opponent very fortunately is in the right side but still hitting the left. Yeah, actually with the draw that I have, QIS is in fact optimal because that point is already lost. That is so interesting, but doesn't this just straight up lose to a Q draw, though, is what I'm thinking here. I don't know, hard one to map out, and this is the kind of situation where, because it's a psychological thing where you're reacting to your read of the Q situation between the two players, that maybe the sim assuming equity plays from your opponent might not reflect what could actually transpire here, but we'd have to look at this sequence a little more closely, like with rail. It is absolutely going for a decent probability of the Z draw there, and then what do we even draw out of the bag? So, yeah, because going into this, play ZA, and then I draw QA. So what's left in the bag? QA. And yeah, one in the bag at this point. QAA really in the bag. Huh. Okay. So yeah, at this point, I mean, the Q draw kind of decides it, but I'd have to step through the sequence a little closer. But incredible that it's actually such a huge win percentage gain if you just make the 10-point play there for the setup. That does not feel intuitive to me, because that seems like it's just naturally inviting a big H play on top or something. But maybe there's a good counterplay to that with any of the, well, with half of the available situations, huh? Yeah, hard to see that. And hard to see what the route is knowing the Q is in the bag. I just don't know that that works. Yeah, we had some bad endings after this. This was the one with the phony long leg. Got away with some stuff today. And we'll just step through the equity table for this pretty quickly since I didn't really look at it. Yeah, a lot of stuff available. Live long. Longavel. Elange, we should have been able to see that. Log line, log line. So yeah, we just happened to try long leg, and it did in fact stand. Oh, didn't even look at the treff hook there, but I don't know if that would have been worthwhile. We'll see what the sim thinks of this turn in terms of the available bingos. I should have seen Quantile as well as a choice. Also, yeah, this was available at this point. Through the J. I had considered this play here, but we'll see how it turns out in the sim. My opponent is way, way down in time. Ooh, look at this. Lubtsy. That is really difficult to see. Absolutely, that's the kind of thing you have to just know by alphagram. I guess it is an anagram of halibut as an available variant of halibut. Yeah, so you basically have to know that as a pair. Xylos available over here. That's really interesting. Yeah, okay, this was the turn where Saltando was available, and we had discussed that when it was found earlier in the chat. And then, yeah, Gent, I feel like the sim won't like that when we look at it, but we'll see what else was going on at the end here. Yeah, why don't we just go tweet or something on the left here, but like on the previous turn. Oh, because I was thinking, okay, if we just play off two, maybe I can do something. This was a game that we won anyway, but I was maybe being very careless at the end there and trying to figure out what the Z sequence would be. That's okay. We'll take a quick look since this one, I don't know if it'll actually be interesting. But it was near the end that we wanted to look at. Yeah, long leg. Allowed to stand. That's okay. So yeah, this placement actually comes out quite well, despite the cue looking so dangerous on the left side. And Rejoice works out over there. So yeah, this was what I played. B and T with that overlap comes out quite nicely. It intuitively looks good. I just didn't find it. Okay, bounties over here. NTH, where was that available? Up here. I just completely blanked on the treff hook, actually. It's such an easy one. TREF. Just didn't consider it properly. Then let's see what happens here. Large mistake over here, but not going adopt. Oh, that's Beautiful underlap on the EX. And then, yeah, mistakes all over the place by not seeing underlaps, basically, but we've secured the game at this point. TYND works out much better. 27-point swing on that because we are giving up so much. Going for that. What do I even have on my rack at this point? TYND. Oh, because then we set up Zeta. And there's not really much that my opponent can do with it. I see what's going on there. Or fees, rather. Fees is what it sets up as an out. And even if you don't go for fees, like even if that spot is taken, then Zeta is still available down below. So we threaten a big sequence over there that could have gone much better. Okay, one more. Again, got away with a phony on this one with unhears. Oh, let's look at the sim for it. Back to the front. Yeah, VAC turns out better here, keeping the NG synergy. Calv slightly favored over Clave. Realizes, yeah, so this is where we tried long leg instead of live long. And nothing much to see here that we... Oh, wait, no, wait, didn't we... Hang on. Why did I go back to this game? We just looked at this one, didn't we? Hang on, that was in the wrong game. Wait, I made a mess here. Just give me a moment. Did I just not notice that we just looked at this game? Wait. Was I not paying attention? There we go. This is the correct one. This is the Unhears game. Yeah, I just clicked on the wrong game and started just stepping through the analyzer. And wait a minute, didn't I just see this? Whoops. Probably tells you I should end soon. Okay. Okay, Diatron. Yeah, my opponent misses the double-double opportunity. A Raul available over here. Have to know your sheep. Yeah, this was another game where I wanted to look at how I blew the ending. If Unhear stands, then it stands as optimal. Obviously, it was a phony. Deletion was a big miss. Huge miss. Such an easy one to see, too. Dixit works out well. Right, this was the one where we spent the entire late part of the game missing the Y hook on Baffy. And I'm sure that most of the mistake identification near the end of the game will be surrounding that. Yeah, I didn't see unwheel as a possibility. Pre-law. Yeah, not much here that we didn't already think about when just stepping through the plays earlier. So I was thinking of going for the various Z plays that were available, but an even bigger exchange was favored here. Then you kind of maximize your chances of drawing something that's actually playable as your ending sequence. Small optimizations at that point, but you'll notice that I'm not at 100% win rate yet at that point. It absolutely was a losable situation. And this is considered a huge mistake, not going MYC up here first to keep the Z for the plays. MYC actually comes out ahead of Zyme in either of these spots in terms of where the sequence is going to go in pre-endgame. Yeah, higher average scores, of course, because you're keeping the Z in pocket. The other spot. Sort of interesting that it thinks my opponent's making a mistake here by not creating a situation where you could bingo into an empty bag. But because it's thinking 0% win chance with this, but as a non-zero percentage win chance, very, very marginally, if you're able to defer a bingo to an empty bag situation, that's really interesting. Although, of course, if I see a play like this, I would have reflexively tried to block up, but then we'd have to obstruct quite a bit at once on both top right and bottom right. Anyway, and let's see here. Yeah, I keep missing the MYC spot. That's really the story of this one. Okay, not great play today, but I do have to take off, and we'll learn from this for next time. Some of these we'll have to look a little bit closer at, I think, because the kind of critical mistake was something that even running it through the sim, it wasn't totally comprehensible to me just yet in terms of how we could improve on it, but lots of bingo misses and other dubious calls to deal with and keep in mind for next time. Thank you so much for joining me. That is it for today's session, and we'll pass you folks off somewhere else very shortly. We'll be back for this as regular as we can. We've done a few weeks straight now with this group kind of working out pretty conveniently for us lately. We'll hopefully be able to continue that in the weeks ahead. Thanks so much for joining me. And until we meet again, have a wonderful time ahead of you with anything that you may be doing on your end. And as always, fare thee well.